Hello people, and welcome back to part 29 of Noveria, our Cities Skylines snow build. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And thank you for the support on Sunday's stream. We had a very nice time together hanging out, redesigning our little diamond intersection in the European area, which we settled on the official park. Boxed in with some one-way tram roads and a one-way flow system on the outer roads to help keep everyone moving around, and it just works really nice together, doesn't it? The official parks work so well for a design like this. And then complemented with some very symmetrical path and tree designs all around the side. So a nice way to kind of upgrade just a regular cross junction, right? Kind of including a unique building, a little bit of public transport and lots of decoration. And then alongside some of the European expansion, we also brought in some nice designs using roundabouts and European suburbia. With some fencing and gazebos around here. And tried out some campfires over on this side as well. And then some more European themes developing over here with the Market Street asset and some blocks of commercial. So we'll absolutely carry on expanding this area. During our live streams, if you would like to join us, they are every Sunday at 7 PM UK. I appreciate all the support. I'm glad you guys are still enjoying them. And how about this as well? Got the Amsterdam Palace lined up right at the end of the road. Looks good, doesn't it? It's a nice design. And then same down here as well with the Market Street asset. And it's starting to get some nice kind of lines of sight now this area is growing up. However, in today's episode, it is time to work on Noveria's industrial cargo harbour, which will occupy this side of the land over here. So a couple of different themes and ideas that I want to chase today. I want to bring in a couple of the unique factories, bring in maybe 3 or 4, possibly 2, I guess we'll kind of see. Actual cargo harbours themselves, some cargo train lines, lots of factories and warehouses, and just create a very industrial looking waterfront. Quite the contrast to what's happened over here with what is a very commercial focused waterfront over this side. We are now of course going to head industrial, which will give us a nice contrasting vibe and also develop something of a 4-way highway interchange to help serve this area. Because of course working with any kind of industrial build, we are going to want direct highway access for people coming in and out of this area. It's going to be producing a ton of traffic. So build a highway interchange, that'll be fun, and then do lots of terraforming. But otherwise, let's build Noveria's cargo harbour, shall we? Okay, so the first thing we'll do here is start mapping out exactly where we're going to enter the cargo port. I think we're going to come in with some larger 6-lane roads. We're going to be working with quite an impressive one-way flow system today, using some larger toll booths. We'll come off all of our snapping here. And we're just going to eye this up, and then from this point now, this will be our first kind of snap node. We really want everything to kind of bend off at this angle now, right? Okay. So again, we'll bring in another little flow system here now as well, using these larger arterial 6-lane one-ways, okay? Which is all going to help contribute to our industrial vibe. The first asset we'll have a look at is actually going to be in our garbage tab. I think we're going to go with a waste processing complex. And not only to help serve the garbage accumulation in this area, because the nearest one is now over in Noveria. So time for another one of these things to help service this side of the city. And we'll put in a few waste, is it collection, the one we want? The transfer facility, we'll place a few of these around as well. So I think we'll actually knock this over by maybe a tile or so, because we're going to break this off here now and introduce our first one-way toll booth into the area. We're going to go for the large version. And then we just want to snap that onto the angle. So a toll booth is there very much to serve as kind of a security gate vibe, right? It's something we've done a few times before. So now I want to start terraforming out the first initial peninsula, and we're going to just steal some soil off of this here before deleting our lighthouse. Don't need that here anymore. Okay, just start trimming back this shoreline and then use it to dump the land back into the ocean here. Okay, let's keep trimming back little bits and pieces of it. We will eventually have this kind of totally smoothed out. Not like that though. That's not what we want to do. Make sure you choose your height again. And then bring this in. Very nice. So again, I'm just going to bring out a very basic dirt road so we know what angle we want to terraform on. And that should be okay right there. So now we're here, we can trim up this little section. Okay, and then start drawing out this one up here as well. Okay, so now we have kind of a bulk of land terraformed out and ready to play with. We'll come back in and continue at that one-way flow system. We'll come out by maybe 5 tiles here, right? And then what I want to do is make sure our road guideline is on. Reinstate this dirt road again, and then I want to grab a road that's going to come out here. Maybe one more road guideline over, actually. And probably to about there. And then bring this down. And then likewise on this side as well, okay? And then we're going to feed these in with one-way industrial roads. And then the one-way system here will split and then meander away around the rest of the port. Okay? Very nice indeed. So we'll have a look at the first asset that we want to place in today. This is going to be one of our unique factories. So we'll come into our industrial tab and we'll grab the modular house factory is the one that I want to use, which is this one right here. And there we go. So we'll place this in. Super nice looking asset, right? It does have a little bit of landscaping already involved within the asset with these conifers, but otherwise I think we can justify the placement of the modular house factory here, which will want plain timber, plastics, glass and metal. We will need to go ahead and include some glass production over in the temporary ore area. And then again, we'll just give this a nice simple box pattern now. And we can start to trim up against the edge of how we want this thing to sit. So we're going to change up the type of key here. And we can go for simple seawall. There's a simple city key here as well, so I think we'll go with this one. We want to snap to that road guideline. And I'm looking to ideally leave 3 tiles between the road and the key. Okay, and then we'll run this parallel to about there, and then we can feed it down to this one. And then of course just tidy up all of this dirt along the side with a touch of slope terrain. And just push that back, but we'll save that for our detailing time lapse. But it'd be nice to bring some new looking keys around here using that content creator pack, of course. It's going to help illuminate that shoreline as well, which is always a nice little added bonus, isn't it? So we'll snap to these and just make sure that we're maintaining that 3 tile distance all the way around. Then we come into our curve tool and hook our little corners in. Alright, and that's going to be a nice little peninsula for a very industrial looking factory to sit out on. Okay, very nice. Okay, so we brought our walkable seawall key all the way along the front of the harbour now. Now it's time to discuss the placement and indeed functionality of the cargo harbours themselves. So in Palaven, the cargo harbour there has started to suffer from fairly bad traffic due to the fact that we'd placed these kind of on the main road through the harbour. So it didn't matter where you want to go in the harbour, whether or not you're travelling to the warehouses or the rail port there. You always had to pass by the initial cargo harbours, which are very traffic intensive. And this caused us an issue. So we want to make sure that we factor that in. So we're going to terraform out a little bit more land so we don't get the awkward raised area when we place these things in. Very similar to how we did with our fishing hubs, or fishing marinas a couple of episodes ago as well. Okay, so we want to place this in here. And then we'll do 10 tiles measurement. And then we want to place in another one next door. Okay, so that's going to give us a little bit of repeated cargo spice, which is nice. The cranes here are very much an aesthetic of a cargo harbour, right? I think I'm a fan of these. Okay, and maybe we could go for a potential third. Although I just want to snap to this route over here, which is fine. So we could probably knock it a little bit further along, maybe. I think we will go for 3. So again, we'll just repeat that design of 10 tiles. Just want a touch more terraform in here again, so we don't get the awkward raised bit. And then one final one right there. Okay, yeah, I think 3 is definitely an aesthetic we can all get on board with, right? We're going to have a wonderful view to the skyline from here as well, I think. It'd be nice to bring in some much more heavier industrial vibes into Noveria today. Okay, and then let's just bring this on. Nice little curve. And then allow the system to feed through. We'll bring this up to that road guideline now. So again, this one-way system is just continuing to flow absolutely everywhere. So we'll now have a look at this one-way 6-lane. And we'll see how this is going to flow. So we'll bring it at level with the waste processing plant, and then we'll curve by 4 tiles. Okay, that's not going to be too bad. And then maybe trim that back a little bit. And then again, we'll curve by another 4 tiles with no road guideline here. There we go. And then allow this to run straight the way down. Of course, the direction will change here as well. Very nice. Very nice indeed. So we'll want to prepare some kind of entry point into the cargo hub here as well for the highway interchange to connect onto. And I think what we'll do with this is we might build possibly our own roundabout, which I think we will do. So again, we'll keep the one-way system going. We'll now move back into 6-lane here. And then we'll grab probably some high-speed roads, probably a high-speed highway. And then actually we'll do this regular road first, because it doesn't really work with those. So we'll curve by 7, so we'll go 5, 6, and 7. Although we probably want it to align with this one here, I imagine. Yeah, so if we can get it to align up with that one, that should be fairly acceptable, and then we can complete the loop around the whole harbour with this road here. So I'll get this aligned off camera rather than messing about and doing it here. Let's bring in some supporting road networks that are going to allow for the placement of some larger factory assets if we can. And I think another one that I want to include here is going to be the electronics factory, which again works very nice as part of a cargo hub build. Okay, very industrious looking asset. It's going to help decorate the side of our roads as well. And of course, just seeing what it needs. It wants plastics, glass and metal, which we can then bring in some further supporting road networks to then start accommodating some warehouse assets if we wanted to. Let's go for the medium. We can probably fit in a large here actually, I think, right? Yeah, we can accommodate a large. Okay, again, just making sure that the vibe isn't being broken, either by the asset or the orientation itself, and I think I'm fairly happy with that. And of course, any key aesthetic of a cargo harbour build is actually seeing kind of shipping containers themselves. And the small warehouses will work nicely for this. You can also use an asset from the regular growable industry, which is a 4x4, and you will have a chance to get this one in here. The cargo yard. You can repeat this asset, which is what we did in Palaven, but you obviously need the industrial demand to support that much repeated industrial zoning, which Noveria doesn't really have at the minute. We might drop a few in. But otherwise, once these warehouses do start to receive their chosen stock, which is... what is it that we want here? That's the warehouse. So we can probably do this one to do plastic. And then we'll go glass and metal. There we go. So this will keep our electronics factory stocked up for the foreseeable. Again, we can get these. Are these perfectly back to back? Yes, they are. Very nice. And then we can just keep bringing in these small warehouses to keep the various factories around here stocked up, because we will use a couple more today. And they do fill up with cargo as they receive their chosen resource. So that's going to be handy. And then we can now redraw in our supported road network. Let's come off our guideline. Come out by one more. And that's going to box it off nicely. And there's probably some assets, some oil storage that'll work nicely over here as well. Yeah, it looks like we can include a large crude oil tank, which would be nice. Let's just bring in a little side road around here for this to sit against. And we can probably drop in one of those and maybe a small one next to it, perhaps. Okay, so we'll have some kind of siloed tank vibes right as we drive into the port here as well. So even already with just a few of the industrial DLC assets, we can really start to put together a very heavy industrial coastal vibes, right? So that's not going to be too bad. I think I'm fairly happy with that for the time being. Okay. Anyway, I'll get this roundabout aligned to match up with the 2 6 lanes, and then we'll start looking at some industrial rail placement as well. We have our roundabout aligned. We can now bring out another road here, bring in a 2-way toll booth this time, and then snap this onto the 90-degree angle. And then this can serve as another entrance into the cargo harbour here, okay? But that's not going to be too bad for starters, I feel, okay? I think that's just going to be exactly what we're looking for. Let's have a scan through some more unique factories. There's also the clothing factory here as well. Soft paper would also be a good idea. We can probably find room for this as well. There's also the industrial steel plant, which is a good building to use. This one has some very nice alignment alongside a highway, so we can possibly bring in some supporting road network to accommodate this beast. Let's place it here, again allowing for continual flow of one-way systems to keep all that industrial traffic moving. We don't want people backing up, and of course we're playing right-hand drive, so it needs to flow this way instead. Let's trim that off too. And then even just sat alongside the highway here, it's very clear what you're driving past, right? So of course all these factories here, we've got 3 unique factories in already. They're not only going to help the city make money, but they're just going to continually add to the aesthetic of a cargo harbour. I think rather than just placing them alongside a road and then leaving them, you know, you can be creative with a lot of the assets here. And this is definitely why the Industries DLC is definitely one of the better ones from kind of a gameplay perspective too. We do also have the car factory, which is an absolute beast. I don't think we'll get this in here today. Maybe further over this side might make this whole area industrial coastline. I guess we'll kind of see, right? See what pans out, but we won't get it into the cargo hub today, I don't think. Okay, so now I did want to include the cargo hub as well, so we'll have a look at this asset first of all. So the reason why I'm not a huge fan of this is because of the rail. You kind of have to bring it out over the water, but I think we can do some tricks with the terraforming to avoid the somewhat weird look that this asset gets when you do hook those rail networks in. And I think that's what we'll do. We'll maybe prepare kind of a mimicked peninsula on this side, but not quite as deep in the water. So like I mentioned, not nearly as deep as the other ones, and we should just hopefully be able to bring this down now. Of course, we want to be snapping to that road guideline, so we'll prepare yet another dirt road to come out. One more node along than that. There we go. And then remembering to keep those design palettes in at the start of 3 tiles between quay and road. Hopefully a little freeform action should just keep everyone connected in here. And again, same on this side too. Come back into that road. Bring it out by 10, that should probably be deep enough. And then we can just align our keys with the outside of these dirt road frames. Okay, not bad. And then we want to place in, or remove the dirt road frames first of all. And we should now be able to accommodate our cargo hub, which is probably, should just about fit. Again, we'll need to do that terraforming technique. So although the game will read these obviously as walkable keys, I'm not really bothered with the fact that people are going to be walking on here because it's not a particularly pleasant waterfront to come to be totally honest. It's it's a very heavy industrial area. Okay, and then let's grab some rail lines now too. And then we'll come off our smallest elevation. And then we'll go for road length and angle. And then we can bring this across. So kind of want the train line immediately back on land, right? Well, now that we have our cargo harbour in, it will sink down and create a ditch for that cargo train line to follow. And I guess we'll just let this run along the coast and worry about how this hooks in. We do have external train line connections right here. So just a case of bringing it over the highway at some point. Let's terraform out a touch more here actually. Give ourselves more room than we need. And then we can terraform around. Let's get a nice slope here. And then we'll come back down to earth with the train line. And then get a nice 10 curve. And let that run through the ditch. So we know that's where we want to connect in. And then it's just a case of bringing in this terraformed land around the edge now. Okay. Not too bad. And then let's let it all hook in through this way. Alright, and then let's bring in... let's maybe go for an elevated industrial road to cross over this. So we'll probably snap it into here. And then we'll come off the road guideline. Get a nice measurement of 10 in, okay? And then we can bring in some little freeform vibes into there, okay? Don't mind slight curves, you know, we have one over here. And not everything has to be kind of totally rigid with these things. And then again, we'll bring this one up. And then we'll grab a little freeform curve and then also bring out another one off of here as well. Come back onto that road guideline. Get the smallest elevation. And then feed that in. And then just sort out our directions of flow as we come back down. So this will keep everyone moving around in this part. And again, plenty of detailing either with zonable industry or warehouses will also work nicely to complement the cargo hub right here, which we can expand a variety of ideas during our detailing time lapse. And of course, why don't we bring in a little bit of conifer forest up and around here now, which will just help us mark at the end of the cargo harbour. Okay, I'm also happy for a little bit of forest to kind of flow along this side of the highway as well. We'll perhaps switch up to Noveria forest though. Okay, and then just leave a little bit of kind of green barrier between what will continue to grow as residential in the European area and what is very heavy industry over here, okay? But otherwise it's okay, I think. I don't think I'm hating it. I think I do hate this though. I think I do hate the curve. And we might switch this over so it is just straight. I guess it would make sense, right? We'll do it during our detailing time lapse anyway, but it's a nice connection into this one. So before we move into something of a detailing time lapse today and towards our highway interchange build, we do have monorail to bring into the area that comes out of the Eggsy River Gardens, and let's actually hook in the entrance into this side of the cargo hub. So we'll bring down this 6 lane, okay, and then we'll grab this as monorail road, which can continue for a little bit, and then we'll separate the monorail here. Let's just go ahead and grab the regular 4 lane there, and then we can grab this out here now. So this is where the monorail will leave its fixture on the road, and we'll come into a little bit of freeform and then start to curve this under the bridge and just keep it in line with the road guidelines of the quay. Okay, slight flow here and then a little bit of freeform again, just to come out and hopefully link in with a relatively sensible angle. Trim that back and we should be good. Fantastic. So for any commuters, they have the option of monorail to come back through here. And then we'll of course want to reinstate the stops on either side. Okay. Very nice indeed. Nice to see monorail coming along the water here as well today. Alright. But otherwise, I don't think we're looking too bad. We will very briefly discuss some decoration palettes for the episode, of course. And let's grab a little bit of ore industry fence here. Yeah, and I think a little bit of freeform. And straight road action is going to be our best friend. Just keep snapping to our angle as well. Let's get these in. Come on and off the angle as we need it. And then we can start lining up lots of ore industry fence around here for detailing. Of course, we can box in the back of the monorail station here as well if we like. A little bit of freeform around this side as well. Mimic the shapes and designs that we've done on the opposite side of that one-way system. Bring these down, and again, lots of overgrowth. It's going to be our best friend. In this regard, there's also possibilities for, you know, kind of rocks and kind of smaller plants and trees to come through in what would be fairly overgrown areas of the industrial port. But you can kind of get on board with this, right? You know, you kind of flesh it out in all your kind of chosen and favourite patterns. Be careful not to spill out onto the road. It's nice to allow a little bit of kind of overgrowth to spill through the fence, but we definitely don't want it on the road here. It will kind of kill the atmosphere a little bit. And maybe a couple of the larger trees wouldn't go amiss. And definitely a few more of the small ones. So we can now start to fill the dead spaces within the port. And then this will just allow us to start filling a few of those dead spaces within the port as well. Also, our best friend is going to be lots of vanilla dirt path, and we'll snap into our grid for this. And we can bring these up and around. Okay, maybe run one down this side as well. And mimic the curve of the road. Okay, and then again, lots more. Ore fence will work nicely to complement these as well if you want to come ahead and box some of these in. You also have that choice, right? So we can now start to just kill a lot of the dead space here. And then, you know, repeat these designs across the rest of the port. In terms of zoning here, we do have those 4x4 spaces available. So going for those 4x4 cargo yards here will also be an acceptable choice of decoration. Bearing in mind these do function as industrial zoning, so they will draw that industrial traffic, so their placement is important. But there's a whole variety of things we can do to decorate this out now. Okay, so before we move into a detailing time-lapse and kind of bring this thing together and make it fit in a little more naturally, we want to discuss a four-way highway interchange, which is always fun for me, right? Always fun time putting together these larger four-way interchanges. So let's eye up our space and see what we can do. Okay, finally. That was a challenge. I found away my weakest point in the game, anything more than a three-way interchange, but I think we have something that I'm relatively happy with here. It'll look a lot nicer, I think, once it's detailed as well. But we're hooked in all directions, and we'll see how people decide to travel around here. Everything's watered and powered up now, so we should hopefully... well, most of it is anyway. Let's bring a little road or pipe down here as well. And let's just observe how the interchange functions here. Kind of see how people flow around. So I had an original design inspired by a real-life interchange of this, but it was just a little bit difficult to replicate with the vanilla tools. But hopefully this should manage traffic flow. The only thing we want to care about is this here. This isn't ideal. This is a little too close to the trumpet that comes with the map. And if it does become an issue, then we'll just move this down. But otherwise, we'll just see how it flows. Let's see if I get it on 3-speed. Okay, we've got some cars coming off this way now. Let's get into the port. That's handy. People coming in and out of the European area too. Okay, this one over here. See where these folks are going down here as well. Not too bad. Post is also a good thing to include in these as well, whilst we're remembering. Some of the post sorting facilities work really nicely within a cargo hub build, so we'll throw one of those in during our detailing time lapse as well. Of course, this roundabout wants to be one way as well. You can stop typing. We have figured that out. There we go. Roundabout's ready. So let's see how they perform over at this junction here. I'm happy for the traffic lights to remain at this junction as well. Okay. Not too bad. Everyone's going to flow through our little one-way system here. Feed oil trucks coming to fill up our oil tankers here. Okay. So port's flowing relatively nicely. Of course, these... yeah, we want this to be a one-way. So if they're turning in that side, we'll allow them to come back out this way instead. We'll hopefully see a ship arrive here in a hot minute as well. Hopefully soon. There's a cargo ship. Looks like he's going to hopefully come into here. He shouldn't be going anywhere else. These are the only cargo harbours in the city. Yeah, he's going to come in now. I'm going to get rid of these traffic lights here too. Let's tidy up some of the junctions now. Otherwise, the intersection is the key thing we want to keep our eye on, making sure that it doesn't clog. Everyone seems to be relatively happy. There's not too many people taking this connection down here yet to come under the interchange and get into the cargo harbour from that direction. Of course, if we want to be anal with our lane mathematics again, we can come into these sections here and actually upgrade these into 2-lane. And that will also tidy up a few more of the lane mathematics during our detailing time lapse as well. Okay. But it seems to be flowing, doesn't it? It seems to be flowing. Everyone seems to be happy. And it's giving highway access to a very heavy industrial area, which is absolutely needed in an area like this. But otherwise, guys, that does feel like a good place to move into a detailing time lapse. Again, a lot of work to do, lots of dead space to kill. Plenty more industrial detailing to do with props and industrial zoning. Bring some detailing to the front of the cargo port, or cargo hub, and of course hook this in to the national lines over here so we can start receiving cargo trains into this area as well. Okay. Might possibly include a few cargo rail terminals, but we'll just kind of see what the detailing holds for us. And yeah, bring this forest around up this side of the highway, decorate the interchange itself, lots of rocks and overgrowth. in all these curves and some fencing as well. Might make it look a little bit prettier. I always find they look a little bit raw once they're kind of totally exposed like this, but we'll embed it into the landscape as best we can. Yeah, all over the little bits and pieces, but let's get to it anyway. Let's detail our cargo harbour, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, likes, comments and shares below really help out my channel. Even as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really happy with this, and a notable improvement on Palaven's industrial harbour, I think. Lots of nice ideas coming together here, and the inclusion of the unique factories really makes a world of difference to how industrial this thing actually looks. Lots of repeated warehouse spice is keeping the factories stocked for most of the time. Of course, the supply and demand in cities can go up and down, but most of the time they are staying at well stocked. Relatively happy with the highway interchange as well. Perhaps a touch more refinement needed on a few of those curves, but otherwise it's doing a job and keeping traffic flowing really nicely in and around the European area of Noveria. Also included some water treatment assets, of course, to just reinforce those industrial vibes, but do hang around for the rest of the actual Taj. You guys wouldn't have seen all the detailing. But otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.